Shalom Yasharala Shalom. Kala Layam, Allah Hayanawa, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rakaha Qadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach well and rule well, who taught me this truth. Peace and salutation to the Akim, the fellow laborers, the hopeful elect, pushing this truth at risk of their own lives throughout the four corners of the earth. To the awkward listening in sincerity and truth. Shalom. Shabbat Shema from the Pillars of Benjamin camp here in Toronto with another lesson. We'll get right into it. This article, RT News, previous world order won't return. It's a statement made by Putin. The changes now happening are fundamental and irreversible, the Russian leader says. Right, these changes, we see all kind of things going on, right? Wars and rumors of war, right? The reshifting, the reshaping of the economic system, right? And this all goes into ultimately this all goes into their NWO, their grain of rice, the Revelation 13 verse 16 on down, right? But the thing is, Jacob got next, right? Second Ezra chapter 6 verse 9, and it reads, "For Esau is the end of the world," right? These ruling class elites, right? These banking families, these Idumeans, right? It's the end of their kingdom, their ship, their heaven. We're in their heaven, right? Who's on the bottom? Israelites, Jacob, Yasharallah. Israel being a people for a place. So-called indigenous, so-called Latino, you so-called Negro, right? We're on the bottom, and Esau's on the top. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, right? So the king, the next kingdom rulership is Yasharallah, right? These Edomites believe they got next, right? Right? Because the Russia, they're Edomites. Okay, but all this was taking place. It's instrumental in they're pushing their NWO, their grain of rice. Order Abkeo, order out of chaos. Those who believe that things will go back to the way they were before the outbreak of the conflict in Ukraine are wrong. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said, "It is a mistake to suggest that the times of turbulent changes can be waited out and that things will return to normal," right? Because, the narrative's out there. It's going to get back to normal. Weak Jake out there. Things going to get back to normal. Things are going to continue to increase and wax worse. That everything will be as it was. It won't, Putin said. Putin insisted during his speech at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum on Friday, which was today. The changes that the world is going through at the moment are fundamental, radical, and irreversible, he added, right? Going into their grain of rice. Revelation 13 verse 16 on down. That's what all roads lead to the grain of rice. All right, we got to watch our words. However, the ruling elites of some Western countries refuse to notice this obvious shift and choose to cling to the shadows of the past, he added, right? And Psalms 49 verse 11, their inward thought, right? Like America the Great, the scriptures say, "These shall hate the whore." Something's going to transpire where even the NATO nations are going to turn on America the Great, Babylon the Great. Psalms 49 verse 11, their inward thought is, right, these elites, these ruling class elites, these Idumeans, these Rothschilds, these Rockefellers, these Gettys, these DuPonts, that their houses shall continue forever, right? They think this is going to be forever. Their houses, right? Their rulership. And their dwelling places to all generations, right? Pass it on to the kids, pass it on to their kids, pass it on to their kids. They call their lands after their own names, right? They named every Amerigo Vespucci, right? Named after an Italian explorer, right? America means bitter, right? But they name regions, they name countries after themselves. Right? And then they're trick bad because the kingdom after this is Yahawashi's. Daniel 2, verse 44, and it reads, "And in the days of these kings shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom." Right? The day of these rulers, right? The Most High is going to set up a kingdom through his son Yahawashi, which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, right? Never be destroyed, right? And no other nation is going to rule within the kingdom of heaven, on earth as it is in heaven, right? Israelites, beginning with the 144, under Yahawashi. But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, right? Yahawashi is going to break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms on the earth. And it shall stand forever, right? So there's no kingdom, right? We open with 2nd Ezra 6, verse 9. Right? There's no kingdom after this goes down, after Esau's kingdom goes down. For example, back in the article, they believe that the dominance of the West, right, these Western elites, in global politics and economy is a constant, eternal value, Putin said. But nothing is eternal, he reminded everyone. Right, and the Most High is putting the spirit on Putin, right? Right, they're being roused up, right, along with their allies. Since claiming victory in the Cold War in the early 90s, the U.S. has declared itself the messenger of God on earth, who has no obligations but only interests, and those interests are pronounced to be sacred, the president said. Right, and what is the West's interest? What is Esau's interest? How does he go about things? His sword, man. What is his interest? Gold, commodities, resources. And how does he go about claiming these things? His sword. However, the idea of a unipolar world is flawed at its core, according to the Russian leader, as the norms of international relations can't always be interpreted in favor of a single nation, even if it's a strong one. It seems as if Washington refuses to see the new centers of power that have emerged in recent decades and which have every right to protect their interests and ensure their national sovereignty, he said. Right. And we're seeing these other nations thumb their nose, right? Isaiah 14, verse 9. Hell from beneath is moved to meet thee at thy coming, right? Hell is a condition. Hell is the grave. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All right, let's look at this in the NLT. In the NLT. In the place of the dead, there is excitement over your arrival. Right? Spirit world. Doesn't it say in Revelation 12, rejoice ye heavens and them that dwell in them? Right? Doesn't it say declaring the beginning from the end? In Isaiah 46, if I'm not mistaken, we'll get that, Lord willing. Right? Everything's been preordained in the spirit world. The outcome has already happened in the spirit world. Right? NLT once again. In the place of the dead, there is excitement over your arrival. The spirits of world leaders and mighty kings long dead stand up to see you, right? This is preordained from the beginning, man. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Right? And these other nations now, historical nations that were weaker, are now America's a gazing stock, man. Right? Right? Historical nations that were weaker now have uranium. Revelation 12 verse 12, and it reads, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Right? The spirit world. The angels are rejoicing. The prophets in the spirit world are rejoicing. Why? Prophecy is manifesting. Prophecy is fulfilling. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil, right, Esau, Edom, is come down unto you, Israelites, Israel being a people before a place, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time, right? And this devil is moving because he knows his time is up, declaring the end. I think it's in Isaiah 46. Isaiah 46 verse 10, and it reads, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Right? So the Most High Yahawashi declared the end from the beginning. It's already been taking place in the spirit world, man. Right? And the Most High is putting the spirit on Putin. Proverbs 21 verse 1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, right? The king's heart being mind. The ruler of Russia, his mind is in the hand of the Lord. So whatever you see him doing is the Lord Yahawashi putting that spirit on him to do that, man. Right? And right now the Most High Yahawashi is rousing them up, putting them in that putting Russia in that Cold War spirit. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will, right? So whatever the Most High wants, thy will be done, right? And right now he's putting the spirit of putting Russia back into that spirit of Cold War. Ezekiel 38 verse 4. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. Right? And that's that Cold War spirit coming back over Russia. Right? And I will bring thee forth, and all thine enemies, Salakia, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, right? They're militaries. All of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, right? And right now Russia's boasting military might, man. They haven't even shown all their weaponry or their tricks. All of them handling swords, right? And their military is a serious military, man. We get this Western propaganda, Western media, showing that depicting that they're having difficulty with their skirmish. Right? They have some weapons, man. Don't get it twisted. Right? And when you look into the Cold War was between when America and Russia were the two superpowers. Right? Cold War. The Cold War was a period of geopolitical tension between the US and the Soviet Union, right? Russia used to be the Soviet Union. The Western Bloc and the Eastern Bloc, which began following World War II. Historians do not fully agree on its starting and ending points, but the period is generally considered to span from the announcement of the Truman Doctrine on March 12, 1947, to the dissolution of the Soviet Union on December 26, 1991. Right. So the spirit that is back on Russia is that spirit of the Soviet Union, the Cold War Soviet Union, the mighty Iron Curtain, right? The superpower, right? Right. Listen, Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union, right? Let's continue. Habakkuk 2, verse 5. Yeah, also, because he transgresseth by wine, right? America the Great, right? Transgresseth by wine. His doctrine, his philosophy, his democracy, right? He is a proud man, right? America. Who's more proud than America? Neither keepeth at home, right? Always conquering. It's got military outposts all over the world. U.S. embassies all over the world. Who enlarges his desire as hell and is as death and cannot be satisfied, right? Can't be satisfied. Look at this thing going on. Anytime there's a region or a country with resources that America has interest in, they fabricate a coup. They send in mercenaries. They set up puppet governments. Right? They're greed, man. And this Uganda announcement from a few days ago that they discovered gold. Keep your eye on that, man, because they said that it was 326 trillion. Let's get the exact number. I don't want to be off on that. Right? And I think it was a value of $13 trillion worth of gold. Right? That could put a large dent in America the Great's debt. Right? Uganda announces discovery of huge gold deposits. 31 million tons. $12 trillion in value. You see that? Right? So we're just reading. Cannot be satisfied. Right? It's America, man. Who enlarges his desire as hell and is as death. Right? Hell is the grave. Hell is a condition. Right? And is as death and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations. Right? Setting up embassies everywhere, military outposts. And heapeth unto him all people, right? The great melting pot. All nations are in America. Right? But yeah, we see this Cold War spirit it's obvious. Right? It's obvious, man. Right? Let's close out. Let's close out. Revelation 11, verse 15. Right? And all these other nations think they got next. Yahawashi got next. Revelation 11, verse 15, and it reads, and the seventh angel sounded. Right? And the title is the seventh trumpet. Hamashiach's reign foreseen. Right? And this is a vision of John the Revelator. And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord, Adawan, right? And of his, Hamashiach. And he shall reign forever and ever, right? So, Yahawashi Hamashiach got next, man. The kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord, Yahawashi Hamashiach, right? Right, all going to be in subjection to Yahawashi Hamashiach. Right? Right, but all these things got to take place. Right, because all this got to take place to lead into the grain and rice. The time of Jacob's trouble. The time of World War III. Right, order ab chaos, order out of chaos. Right, scriptures say it must take place. right? So these wacky-tackies praying for peace, right? It's against the will of the Most High Yahawah Shai, right? Ultimately, the Lord's will is to destroy this place, melt it with fire, and establish the kingdom of heaven on earth as it is in heaven. Stay prayed up, pray without ceasing. Kwam Yasharala, Wa Abad, Babal, Shalom.